All right, and welcome to Health, Wealth, Self-Pod episode 3. We currently just landed in Sao Paulo. Me and Jay are taking quite the tour of South America. For those that haven't been listening, the first 2 episodes, the first one was talking about Mendoza and that kind of stuff, and now this podcast, even though we just landed in Sao Paulo, is going to be discuss the last city that we just left, which was Buenos Aires. And wowza, what a city Buenos Aires is.
Yep.
I think that's the consensus now.
Yeah. Great city.
Yeah, what a city. So I've never been there before. It was my first time.
Yep.
In Buenos Aires. I've been to South America a couple times, but this was the first time there. And I don't think I realized what a proper city Buenos Aires actually is. It is massive.
Yeah.
It's massive. The comparisons were only, I think, that I knew of was New York City from what I saw.
Yeah, it definitely got a New York City feel to it. I mean, obviously it's much smaller, and there's a lot more parks and trees and that kind of feel to it. But I was not. I knew it was big coming down here, but it is very first world developed.
Yeah,
massive city.
Yeah, very, very, very first world. The architecture there too,
super cool,
unbelievable.
Yeah, when we took that tour the first day.
Yeah,
on the bus. Yeah.
So the first couple of days that we were here, we were on a work trip that Jason won. And so we had a couple things that we could do / had to do / limited freedom, but we had housing, we had accommodation.
Very nice hotel.
We stayed in the Four Seasons, kind of near the center of town, and it was unbelievable. Yeah. It was super nice. Walking distance to just so many different things, but the city's just so big that it's tough to get to. There's just so much to explore, and then after that we can kind of get into a rundown of the types of things we did later. But then after that we moved to an Airbnb, and the Airbnb that we moved to was in Palermo, Soho. There's a couple neighborhoods in this Palermo neighborhood, and Palermo Soho was awesome. What a neighborhood that was.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah, super
really trendy, up and coming.
Yeah,
definitely more of the New York City vibe in that area.
Except trees, because there was tons of trees.
Yeah, there's a lot of trees, which was nice. So it's kind of like that, almost like an SF feel in that sense with the city of New York. So I think we picked the perfect spot. Yeah,
that area was. But I didn't realize it's kind of like New York, where if I think you look at New York on the map, you think I can walk from here to here, and that's nothing. But it's the same thing when you get to Palermo. You look, it's that seems like that's just 5-6 blocks away, but no, that's about a half-hour walk. That's about a 45-minute walk. So you can take cabs, you can do that stuff, but it's nice that if you are going to visit Buenos Aires, to go into a place where you can walk to some stuff. In Palermo, it's definitely that neighborhood. There's tons of cool hidden gems, just all over.
Well, yeah, if you're looking for good restaurants, really cool lounge, cocktail speakeasy bars. There's some clubs at night, but that's not the proper area for the the actual nightclubs. But in terms of just restaurants, food, drinks, lively nightlife, that's, in my opinion, if you're in your mid-20s, early 30s, somewhere in that area looking for that, that's one of the best spots.
Yeah, and if you want to actually see, because authentic, I guess, Buenos Aires, Argentina, you get that all over the place. You don't necessarily need to go to, it definitely has its own vibe of a city, for sure, but it's a mixture. We went to this one bar, I think Friday, uptown. Was that Friday? It's Friday. And this uptown bar, so cool. It was literally one of the coolest bars we've ever walked into. It was you were actually walking into a New York subway. So you walk down and it feels like you're walking into a subway. It has if you've ever been in a New York subway, and you have the kind of like the granite laminated tile, kind of on the side, and they have like the name of the stop, kind of in like just a different colored tile. They exactly had it, and they had a subway, like a manufactured subway cart, and you walk through that, and then boom, it opens up to this huge, like really clean, trendy bar that was playing like all like Nas and like all that stuff. It was like, I was like, whoa, I was really impressed.
Yeah, there was that turn, that table you had to like walk through.
You got to work through the turnstile. Yeah. So that was like really cool. That's just like one example, because there's so many different kinds of speakeasies. Like there's that one speakeasy we went to that you needed a password.
Yeah, Frank's.
Yeah, Frank. So you need a password, and to get in, like they literally open the slider, like they open the slider thing, and you see two eyes looking at you. And we don't speak Spanish, so we were just we were just intimidated walking in there. Jason did it though. Good for you, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So you have to go to their Facebook page, and they give you clues to who it is, and then just with it's a couple Google searches you can figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really cool spot. And then once that, you still have to go to a phone booth and type in a code and like push a door.
Yeah. So, yeah. You walk into this phone booth. You have to press the buttons, and then this door opens, and you're able to like go out the back of the phone booth.
Yeah.
And it opens up to this huge room, this like double floored room, and then it was pretty packed when we walked in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Some of the things. So. Yeah, and we probably will get into it a little bit more after, but the nightlife there is incredible. It's really good. It's some of the best I've ever seen. Probably only equivalent, really, I think, to here where we just landed in Sao Paulo, which you haven't experienced yet, but we will. So we'll talk about that on the next one. And New York, really, because New York has a lot of really cool places. But the difference that I see from the ones that here in New York is New York has a lot of cool places to go and a lot of different places to go, but most of them are kind of like cramped, like into like smaller places, like in smaller areas. While these kind of like just opened up in these grand rooms, which was really cool. And so you definitely need to experience that for yourself. I would say it's quite good. But, and then if you're looking for more of like a club kind of atmosphere, those are all in one area, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they're all near the airport.
Yep. Those are the local airport, not the international airport.
Right. Yep. It's kind of right on the water where the river meets, the ocean. And I went to Jet. We went to what's called Banana on Saturday night.
Yeah, Banana.
And there's Tequila, which we didn't get a chance to go to, but it's in the same area. There's Brandy in that area, which is.
Are they all named like that on purpose?
I mean, probably. It seems like there's a recurring theme.
It seems like there's a theme. But yeah, they're all in one spot. All have outdoor areas, but mostly that's for smoking. There's a lot of cigarette smoking.
Yeah, I need to make it. The smoking down here is tough. A lot of people still do it, which is really bizarre to me.
Yeah,
but it's very common.
Very common.
Everyone in the club, they go to these outdoor areas and will smoke.
Yeah.
And just be aware of that.
Yeah, the one we went to on Saturday, Banana, that like the outdoor, I didn't even like being out in the outdoor space, because literally it's like you walk outside and like cigarette smoke like hits you like a ton of bricks, which is fine. Obviously, you want to smoke, go ahead, but it just seems to be way more prevalent them down there. But yeah, the lounge scene is good. There's a ton of good date spots. There's a ton of good So yeah, nightlife is really A+, really A+.
And in terms of the timeline, these clubs that we just mentioned, they don't open until 1 a.m. And then people don't really go until about 2:30 or 3. It's about a good time to go, around 2:30 or so.
Yes, exactly. You heard that right. Yeah. They don't go to the clubs until 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So for people listening in the United States, that's super bizarre, unless you're in New York City. But even in New York City,
or even things like Vegas. So.
Yeah, things are getting sloppy by 3. But yeah, and then people aren't leaving till like 6:30, 7 o'clock. It's definitely a way later timeline.
Yeah, because I was leaving at 6:30. I think on Friday, well, technically Saturday morning, there were still plenty of people.
Yeah, still a lively scene. That's just an Argentinian like culture difference. It's like everything is just completely shifted. completely shifted. Like
dinner,
like people eat, like I think the last the Mendoza podcast we were talking about how it's like it's more like 11. I think it's not even really even 10. It's like it's just late.
It's late,
man. Which is like, so definitely back in like San Diego, where everything is like shifted way up. I do get a little frustrated with how I feel like things are rushed, because it's like you just get out of work and then it's kind of, you got to rush to go do stuff. But even this, like it's like on the other end of the spectrum. It's like too far pushed. Like where you're usually yelling at me in San Diego, like, Corey, you're too damn slow. Like this isn't fucking Brazil. This isn't whatever. You got to go. And I'm just like, God, I just don't feel being rushed. Like here, like by the time it's like, man, I am.
You like wanted to go to the club. I'm like, it doesn't open.
Yeah.
It's not open like yet.
It's 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like it's like, no, the club's not open till 1. It's like, Jesus.
Yep. It's very different.
Yeah, very
definitely
very,
need like a vacation after the vacation to recover.
Oh yeah, I mean if you're going there to relax, that's the wrong. You go to Mendoza to relax.
Yeah, not Buenos Aires.
You don't go to Buenos Aires to relax. You go to Buenos Aires because you want to see a super cool city. It's so dense too. It's just such a dense city. The architecture there feels like a European big city. Like the architecture here is clean. It's very clean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were talking about the safety thing too. I don't think the safety for us, I think I never felt that, but maybe because we were just in the right areas.
Yeah.
But which I think goes to a lot of
we have common sense.
Yeah. A lot of it's, I guess I could see it how you don't know where the areas might be, right? And so you don't know if you just maybe could wander in that. But I guess just like in that instance, like when you're traveling to these places, just make sure you do your research, right? Of like what areas are dangerous, what areas are more safe. But even most Argentinians were like,
it's just kind of like common sense. Like, don't be flashy. Don't be wearing like the super expensive, watches and stuff, or be having a bunch of like, like the GoPros or the drones out with you and, flashing it. So, we've made this point a lot, but I think it's what I think. Even in the U.S., there's certain cities, you can name any major city in the United States, there's certain areas that you're not going to want to be wandering around by yourself at night. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It's just there's certain areas you're not going to want to wander
certain
down.
Areas where it's just have common sense.
So and it's the same thing here. If you're, it's obviously better if you're in a group, but even if you're by yourself, if you're, not getting too drunk and you're in the right areas, we had no issues, and I was by myself at plenty of points during the day and at night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I don't really see a lot of Argentinians really get sloppy either. Did you see a lot of sloppiness, or did you
at
see
the clubs? But we're talking about like 5-6 in the morning, people getting kicked out.
It's like, that's
pretty standard. Yeah,
it's like, how are you not sloppy by that point? Like, how long have you been drinking for?
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't feel too bad. But even like on our way back from like the airport, like our Uber driver didn't want to go down, the quickest way to the airport, because she's like, I don't want to drive through these neighborhoods. These neighborhoods are dangerous. And it's like, okay. But yeah, there was this one story. I was trying to get some drone shots of downtown, and I took my drone out, and apparently we were near this water fountain when I was doing that, and apparently people, like sketchy people, let's say, come to the water fountain to get water just to drink. And apparently, as I was doing that, a tour guide came up to me. It was just like, yeah, you want to not sit here and do that? Because I'd heard some rumblings about, these guys that were coming to get the water. That was, they're going to rob you if you stay there any longer. So don't do that. Like, okay, I got sick drone shots, though. So
yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah, it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but really, like, we went on a little expedition, because I broke the microphone, so we had to go buy new ones, and all that area I didn't feel really incredibly unsafe. In Palermo, I really didn't feel unsafe at all. So safety as a thing, I think it's just like Jay said, use common sense.
Well, because on the first day we were part of the work trip still, and they had a paid kind of tour, and we were on a bus, and they brought us to a nice restaurant. But part of that tour, we went to an area called La Boca, which was really cool. A lot of history there, and we got out, we kind of wandered around, but they said don't come back after 5 p.m. They said so. Just go there, during the day or in the groups or by yourself. I'm sure you'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's where one of the major soccer teams, the Boca Juniors, play. Fortunately, we didn't get a chance to go to a game, but I guess that's like their big team.
Yeah, so I heard it gets pretty wild.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild. Those things get wild. So yeah. So there's definitely some of those areas, but there's so many nice areas, and there's so many things to see, and there's so many parks. There's so many like amazing statues. They have a lot of rotaries that just have these amazing statues in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you go around these big rotaries with these amazing statues, and yeah, the architecture does remind you of old European cities, and it's great. Yeah, it's really good for that. So yeah, it's beautiful. So it's beautiful. It really went above and beyond my expectations.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I knew it was gonna be better than Mendoza for the nightlife, and it definitely was.
Oh, definitely, yes.
But I didn't realize how late things would go, or how like these clubs that I went to were maybe not as good as the Vegas ones, but I mean they were closer to that echelon than anything in San Diego has to offer.
Yeah, San Diego, yeah.
No, I mean I was really impressed with the nightlife, and if you want to talk about the food, I mean I thought the food.
Oh, the food! We can go on a whole friggin' spiel about the food.
Yeah, the food was so good.
Food was so good,
and a lot of different cuisines. So apparently, like our tour guy was joking that it's like the people of Argentina, like they're Italians that speak Spanish.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of Italian immigrants at first that came. So that's why, like, I guess the thing is the Spanish like the Spanish accent for Spanish speakers. And if you're Spanish and this is wrong, let me know. But this is what I was told, is that it kind of has like an Italian kind of hint to it, because it like goes, it's kind of very like expressive with the way they do that. And I guess that's from the Italian influence that came because it was a lot of them. But yeah, the different cuisines, obviously, like we talked about in the last one, but if you didn't listen, beef in Argentina, woof. It is delicious.
Yeah. Some of the best.
Oh, the best I had. We went to, is that Saturday night?
It was Saturday night.
Saturday night.
We went to Don Julio in Palermo. Had to wait an hour to get a table.
Wait an hour, but which really is an issue because you just went. Like, so what time is it? We went there at 10.
No, we tried going at like 9:15.
9:15? Okay. So, then we had to go back for 10. That's right. And then we went out to, so we had to wait an hour, but we just went to a speakeasy, I think like 2 blocks down. That was super nice. And I'm glad that we went because we had that drink, and which was delicious. And then we were able to come, but everything, like, it was empty because it was only 9:30.
Yeah.
But then we went back, and that was, I think, one of, like, obviously I can't remember every steak that I had in my life, but it was one of the best ones I've ever had.
I would say that filet I had, one of the best.
Yeah, you literally could cut it with a butter knife, and it was just like, zoop.
And it was, I don't know how many ounces because they didn't do that on the menu, but I would say easily over 12 ounces for my filet.
Yeah, it was a double. Yeah.
It was huge. And normally you're getting like 6, 8, 4, maybe 10 back home. And this was well over 12.
Yeah.
And it was only 30, I think it was like 32 American dollars.
Yeah. If you are traveling from, I think, America or United States or Canada or England or, a country from Europe, I think your exchange rate will be very favorable in Buenos Aires. There are some places that will still be rather expensive, and you can run up a tab for sure. But I think basic things in terms of meals and stuff, I think you'll be surprised how much your, say, us being from the United States, your $1 will get you. It'll get you pretty good.
Yeah, good. I felt like I was paying the same amount for drinks or food or experiences, but like the quality was exponentially higher than that same $20 or $30 gets me back home.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like saving money, but the quality of the food, the quality of the bar, the drink, the experience was the same price, but just so much more when you're getting back.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So,
yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And for reference, back home meaning San Diego.
San Diego for me, yes.
Yeah, San Diego. So. Absolutely. The quality, it had a New York feel, in terms of, I think, the quality of experiences, but bigger places, you're not as squished. Cause that's my issue with New York. If you're going to the funner places, they're tighter, they're in tighter areas. just because real estate is just such at a premium in New York that it's, sometimes like, even some of my favorite bars are like, 5 feet, they're just like 5 feet long. They're like not even like, wide, I mean. So yeah, that for sure, the quality of experience I think that you get is a lot better in Buenos Aires.
And the pizza. Don't sleep on the pizza down here.
Don't sleep on the pizza.
It's really good.
You liked it.
I loved it.
Yeah, and we'll go into this later. I think my issue was that I couldn't get what I wanted on the pizza. It's kind of like you deal with what the menu gives you, and then you don't ask questions. But that could also be my lack of Spanish that was doing that. But yeah, the pizza was really good. A lot of Italian, like you said, Italian references, so you can get some really quality Italian food. We kind of stuck with the beef. Again, if I think you're vegetarian and vegan, don't let the fact that beef is what they're known for, I think, sway you. Because I think you can get really, really quality cuisine legit anywhere. Like anywhere in the city, I think you can get it. Because people on your work trip had no issue, and they were really raving about the food as well.
Right. Absolutely.
But yeah. So also too, the fact we didn't speak Spanish, how do you think that affected?
Yeah, so I was actually, because we were talking a little bit the comparison between Argentina and Colombia. I felt like, even though I speak very little Spanish and I use Google Translate quite a bit, I still felt like I was never in a situation where I couldn't, figure it out or get where I was trying to go or get what I was trying to get. I feel like a lot of people in Argentina speak English a little bit, especially in Buenos Aires for sure, because it's such a big city. So I wouldn't deter someone away if they don't speak a lot of Spanish or any from coming. I think you'll be surprised with how many English speakers you're going to find. Not just even people that just live here. I mean, many people that live here speak 2 to 3 languages.
Yeah, which makes me feel like a fucking dumbass.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be clear. Let's be honest there.
And another thing, there's like the one story I want to tell about me going to the supermarket that first night.
Oh yeah, we can go down that.
I'll tell that, but before that, I personally, so not a lot of people agree with this, but I like being in situations where you have to kind of like just figure it out. So I'm in a country that I speak very little of this language. Sometimes I'm by myself because you're doing your own thing at the time, and I enjoy that feeling. It's like, all right, I gotta communicate, and everyone says communication is mostly nonverbal anyways, whatever those percentages are. So I think it actually makes you a better communicator, even in someone in your own language, because you're reading body language, you're using your hands. I use my phone, I use a calculator. So if you're trying to figure out how much to pay, I type in a number or have them type it in. Yeah. So you get creative with communicating.
You don't know how to say numbers.
Or anything numbers related. They say a number, I'm like, I have no idea what that number is.
That won't work for Asian cultures as much, right?
And why do you say that?
Because the language is just different.
Oh yeah,
the alphabet's different.
Basically, what I'm referring to is just South America right now. So let me narrow it down a little bit.
Or South America, Europe, anything that's a Latin alphabet.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely enjoy that challenge. Yeah. And I think it makes you a better communicator. It makes you be creative to communicate without using words.
Also, that's what I want. I think. It makes you be in the moment more because your brain can't be elsewhere because literally you have with no clue what's going on. So you can't be thinking about the next thing you want to say. You can't you're so focused on all right, this person's speaking really fast. What words can I pick up from what they're saying? Do I know any words that they just said? Damn it, they just spoke way too quick. How do I tell them to do it again? Can I infer on what they're trying to tell me based on the context of the situation, and that kind of stuff.
So I think it improves your common sense. Like if you're in a context of buying, and I can get maybe when I share my story, this will make it a little bit more.
Let's do it right now. Let's stop hinting at it.
I'll come full circle. It will make sense of this general into specifics. But yeah, so I'll tell the story and go over the example of when I was checking out. So basically checking our Airbnb, we're going to be there for a few days. So obviously we're going to want some food and some water, things like that. So I go a few blocks down. I found on Google Maps. Walk in, found everything, pretty fine. Everything was good.
Just a local supermarket. Yeah.
Local supermarket. Yeah. Grabbed a bunch of just, some basic stuff for us. And then where the wheels started falling off the bus a little bit.
Wheels start falling off the wagon. Oh boy.
Is I bought like just a plastic container of peanuts, and as I'm loading the tray with all of my items from my basket, somehow I exploded the plastic container of peanuts all over the conveyor tray, on the cashier, and now there's just like peanuts moving down with all my other stuff. And I was like,
were you trying to like clean them up?
And I looked at him like, lo siento. I know, I'm sorry. And I just start picking them up and handing them to her, and she starts throwing them away. So this is already a great start to the checkout. And then she starts scanning things, and then she starts saying a bunch of things, and I'm like, I have no idea what she just said. And then she's like holding, it looks like bags. I'm like, oh yeah. And I said, put up 3, like, tres, por favor. And then she just keeps looking at me, and then and this is where I need to start figuring out like what, I have no idea what she's saying. And she's holding up bags. I need the bags to put my stuff in. And she kind of points over there, and there's like an area that looks like you need to buy them. I'm like, oh, okay. My guess is she's not going to just give me these. I have to go over there, grab them, buy them, how many I need, and then pack it myself. So basically, everything's kind of tight aisle. So I kind of squeeze my way back out, grab these bags, come back in, pack everything in there. And that was exactly what she was trying to get me to do. So, and then not having, we can hit on this maybe after in terms of, cash versus credit card. But I use my credit card as much as possible. And I have, Chase Sapphire, which we've talked about a bunch at this point.
Reserve, baby. Reserve.
Yep, the Visa. So they take Visa.
I'll put a link in the bottom for it. It's such a doozy. It is wonders.
So they take Visa pretty much everywhere. But just, bottom line, when I was in this situation, it's very, I would say, humbling. And I was a little, embarrassed. I can't really communicate. In terms of eyes, I mean, everyone was staring at me in the supermarket, especially when I'm like picking up all these peanuts that I just like sprayed everywhere. And I don't really know what's going on, so it's very like, ugh. And like you said, it makes you really, appreciate all the other, countries and cultures that speak another language. And we just take for granted.
We take for granted
that everyone knows English, and we just learn. And we took another language in school, but I didn't really apply that. So that was pretty much gone for me. So it makes you want to learn another language.
Just to be more, I think like, I don't know, because it definitely becomes difficult when you're back in the mindset of the United States. Like when you're back there, it's like all of a sudden it kind of drops priority a little bit. But when you're here and you see that, like, especially the really like, I want to say intellectual people, like the really interesting people, they're speaking 2, 3, 4, 5 languages fluently, like with no accents.
Yep.
And just think of the potential and opportunity of the amount of connections that you can make with different people all around the world, that if you can do that. I mean, it's just mind blowing. Then then you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna only know English, because I definitely used to be that guy that used to just walk up and just start speaking English and just kind of hoping that they speak English and will get back to me. But now in all honesty, I kind of feel like a dick if I do that. Like if I'm in your country, you're like, why am I assuming that you speak it? Like,
I think it's good to make an attempt to speak their language. I think they appreciate that.
I think they appreciate it too, or at least like at the very worst, if you're doing something like really important, like where you're either trying to get like a sim or you're paying a lot of money for something or whatever, and at least be like, hablas inglés, like ask them, or it's like, does anybody speak English that can help me?
Language?
Yeah, like, just something, instead of just like going up and just expecting, that they're going to speak that language. But yeah, I mean, it's super humbling. It makes you respect that. It makes me like want to do it more, because I just think it will just open up the possibility of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think I've also read a lot of stuff just on what learning another language does for your brain development. I think it's like really good for
I
haven't read a ton on that. That's just obviously preliminary, but when I was like, and I still am like, trying to learn Portuguese, newsletters, that the app that I use, ITALKI, which is a great app if you're trying to learn a language, or like you're on the go like me a lot and you want one steady teacher. This app ITALKI, sorry, small tangent. This app ITALKI will set you up with a professor or a tutor. You can go either way. Tutors are cheaper, but that's just speaking. But you can do a professor, which it's all Skype lessons. and you can go through a trial period, where you're testing out different teachers and stuff, and you're just doing constant Skype lessons. So for me, who's not in one city for a super long time, where like having a one teacher somewhere is a benefit, or something that's practical, where I could do in-person lessons. It's great for me because I can travel legit all over the world and still have lessons.
Yeah, it's a great service.
Yeah, it's a great service. Yeah. So if you're kind of like looking for something like that, ITALKI is definitely, I'll put a link in the description for that too. It's definitely a really good thing to check out for that. So like, yeah, for me, like I try to do that ITALKI stuff and do that. So.
But even out something free you can do that I'm still finding very helpful and useful is before you go to any trip, you can download in Google Translate, which is a free app. You can download the language offline, so you don't need data. As long as you have any smartphone, I downloaded Portuguese and Spanish. So even if I don't have internet, Wi-Fi, or a local SIM card, you can still type in any word in English or that language, Spanish would say, and you'll be able to get that translation. Yes. So that is come out very big for both of us so far. And another thing that is you need to have data, so you need to have Wi-Fi or a local SIM to use this feature within Google Translate. But for menus is where we really use this. You can basically, there's a camera button in the app, so if you click on that and if it's written in Spanish and you don't know in Spanish, you can have it translated back to English. And it literally, if you have a menu in your phone, it literally will tell you what the menu is saying if you use that camera app through the Google Translate. So,
yeah, super valuable.
Yeah, you need to have data for that. But
you need to have data for that,
like Wi-Fi or local SIM.
Yeah, we're both, I think, big advocates of use Wi-Fi when you can. Always ask for Wi-Fi.
Most bars and restaurants have
most bars and restaurants have Wi-Fi. But we're also big advocates of just getting a local SIM. I mean, when you're traveling, you don't usually do this in the United States as much, but anywhere else, kind of in Europe or South America, you're using WhatsApp. It's just what you're using. So we use WhatsApp. Like even when me and Jay are back in the States and we're just talking, we're using WhatsApp. We're not using iMessage really that often. So we're using WhatsApp all the time. And the good thing about WhatsApp is your username is your phone number. So when you actually stick in another SIM, which are super cheap, I think like the ones...
I think that's a benefit. If you're going to be there for more than, I would say, 4 days, if you have a short trip, probably not worth the hassle. You can get away with Wi-Fi. But if you're going to be somewhere 5 days or more, it's like, we're talking like, it was like, what, $10, $15 in Argentina?
It was $15.
It was so cheap.
You get a SIM. I think in Argentina, we got 3 gigs of data. It was like $20, maybe $15-$20. But the good thing about if you're using WhatsApp, when it detects a new SIM, it'll say, all right, do you want to change your number to this, whatever this new SIM number is, or do you want to keep your old one? And you can just keep your old one because it's just a username. So when you're giving out your number to people that you meet or you want to meet up, whatever, you still are only giving your old phone number. Make sure you keep your old SIM when you pop the new one in, and then you can push it back and your WhatsApp is all saved. All that stuff is all saved. You have data everywhere. Because if you're traveling internationally and you want to like go Verizon and that stuff, we're talking megabytes of data, not even gigabytes of data, and it's just like really expensive. Like comparatively, where you can just get a local SIM, pop it in there, using WhatsApp anyway. Instagram DMs, Facebook Messenger, all that stuff stays the same.
Especially if you're going to be traveling alone. I mean, when I did in Thailand, it was huge for me. I was by myself. Yeah. There's been times on this trip that I've been by myself, so having data. Again, having Google Maps, Translate, Uber, things like that have been instrumental. It just makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah, but for sure. So that's I think so. We're big advocates of getting local SIMs. I think local SIMs are just like we just got one here in Sao Paulo. We just got local SIMs today. It took us about 15-20 minutes. Got a local SIM. We didn't. I speak very little Portuguese. I'm trying. I think as I get here, it'll come back to me a little bit more because I haven't taken lessons in a couple months. But you're able to just get by. They understand that you're walking in, you're foreign, you just want a local SIM. And they asked how many days do you want it for. I think the one we got here, I didn't actually look at the price, but the one we got here, I get 2 gigs a week for the next 4 weeks or whatever it is, which just works for me. That's fine. I think you got 3 gigs for until you leave. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that big fans of that. So we do that. But let's get back to the before we went on that tangent, the original point of the humbling experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was just kind of came to a close where I was just saying the value of learning that other language. And also another realization I had, which I shared to you, was it actually made me have a little bit more compassion with you having foreigners back home.
Yeah.
It's like, because when if you've never experienced it, it's really hard, because I have a little bit here and there with my overseas travels, but if you go long periods, you kind of forget what it's like. So when you're in that situation where literally everyone's looking at you, you don't speak the language, and you're just trying to figure out a simple process of checking out at the grocery store, it makes you, I think, to me, have maybe a little bit more compassion when I'm back home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seeing that.
A little bit more compassion for the foreigners that are just trying to make it and just trying to do basic stuff. I mean,
it's not like I'm stupid or anything like that.
No, it's not like you're an idiot. It's not like you're dumb. You just don't know the language. You feel dumb.
Yeah, right.
You certainly feel dumb in the moment. It's super humbling and very uncomfortable. And your stomach kind of starts racing a little bit. Your heart, stomach's turning, your heart's racing. You're like, oh boy, I feel like an idiot. Let me get out of here. What am I doing? But no, it gives you compassion for, I think, people back home, and respect for the fact that they're just doing it. Because we're just traveling, and we're only here for, however long we're here for. And then going back to the States, like, these people are trying to change and completely change their way that they're comfortable living. They're completely, and in doing that, it's just like, it's scary. It's a scary thing. And to put you feel like an outsider, like when you're in those positions where you're just kind of walking around, it's like, this is not my home. Like, this is not where I'm comfortable. But I think that has a lot of great benefits. I think personally, like, if you're going through that, you feel good when you do get through like all that. Like, it might have been weird and kind of uncomfortable at the time, but the fact that you did it and you were able to get through it, I think, is
absolutely. And even with that said, even though that did happen, I actually found overall, for Buenos Aires in particular, I felt it was very easy to meet people. Yeah. I feel like the locals were very friendly, and I'm talking about if we want to maybe transition more to nightlife, and just like if you're wanting to, maybe meet girls or just even other travel.
Meet girls, meet guys, meet friends, meet the same sex, meet anybody, because like that happened as well. Like,
I ended up meeting people, from San Diego. When I went out, I actually went out by myself that night. But even that, when we went out to the bars or clubs, I found it. Even with the little Spanish I knew, it was very easy to meet either, the girls or guys that were local here. There's a lot of travelers. I met a bunch of people from like Canada, Chile, a bunch of countries. But every night there was always new people. And it wasn't like, oh, we're going to now approach. It was just a very natural, you're just out and about having a good time. And now this conversation's happening. Whereas sometimes I feel like back home, I personally get caught in the trap of like, oh, like approach. Where it wasn't like that at all. It was much more seamless.
People, and I think it's funny because I think Argentina gets a rap of their like colder of the South American countries, but there's still a whole shit ton of a lot warmer than most, United States things in terms of like the warmness of, I think, meeting new people and
maybe us being from the East Coast, maybe we're used to that, or that's normal. Maybe it depends where you're from.
Yeah, it depends. That's true. That's true.
Different opinion of it, but
yeah, I certainly felt the same way. Like, I felt like people were pretty warm and pretty accepting of wanting to meet you, wanting to meet so.
Yeah, I was getting like bar and club, like the one bar that we had went to together, that Victoria Brown, which is very cool. Yeah. If you're ever there, you should definitely go to Victoria Brown. Yeah. This bartender gave me a list of places to go to. And she was like, oh, you should go to this street and this area. And then I went to another bar that was on that list. And this other girl, it was just a friendly conversation. And she was like, oh, yeah, these are the best nightclubs in the city. You should go over here, here, here. Like, it's just so easy to get the intel.
It's like, oh my God, thank you.
Because you can get it from, TripAdvisor and Google is very helpful. Yeah. But if you can get to those locals and just ask them those questions, and then it matches, then you're onto like this something.
Yeah, that's something that I think we figured out in Mendoza that I think, I'll do from now on. Is like, when you go to a new city, so a city you haven't been there before, when you find yourself what you think is a cool or trendy bar, and you have a bartender that potentially speaks your language or can help you out, ask them where to go.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they will tell you, the really good places, not the stuff that you'll just get on TripAdvisor. They'll tell you the new hotspots. They'll tell you this and that. And we did that. So we went out just quickly from Mendoza. We went out in Mendoza and we went on the street and we were like, I don't know, I just don't see this street as being whatever. And then we went to, I think it was really just a hotel bar.
It was a hotel bar.
It was nice. It was a nice hotel bar. And we asked the waiter, and when we told him what street we went on, he went, he just laughed. He's like, of course, that street sucks. And we're like, oh, okay. So where do we go? And he named a bunch of places, and we looked, and it was like, oh, those are way outside. So that is something I'll definitely do from now on, is that when you find yourself, and we think it's just a relatively cool place, you ask the bartenders or waiters there, they'll tell you actual good spots to go. Mm-hmm. For sure. So yeah. So
did you want to hit on like a couple quick things like the Uber versus taxi?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Yeah. So Uber's illegal in Buenos Aires.
So if someone from Uber's listening, like, please improve.
Like, Buenos Aires is a huge city, man. I mean, it's 14 million people. It definitely does have this kind of like, it's trying to keep it authentic a little bit. And it kind of seems like the new big companies that are trying to like come in, they're trying to, push back a little bit. And Uber is definitely one of them. So Uber's illegal. It's still relatively prevalent, but it's illegal. So if you're alone or you're in a group of two, somebody always has to sit in front because it can't look like it's a taxi. So you always kind of feel like you're doing something illegal every time they're doing it. That's kind of like what I felt like. Mm-hmm. And it's a pain. Talk about your experience.
And if you're calling one, I think the fastest one was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you were waiting anywhere from 5 to 10 plus minutes just for them to get to where you were. And we were in the main areas. We weren't like out in the middle of nowhere. So it takes a while for them to get there. But why I liked using it, even though it took a while for them to get to, is, again, with me speaking very little of the local language, you put the destination in the app so they know exactly where you're going. So there's no dialogue of like where you're going or how much or paying. You pay through the app, you link it to your credit card, you know the destination. So it's just my issue is just how long it took and how often they would cancel on you.
Yeah, they canceled all
They would
the
cancel
time.
on you all the time.
They just canceled on you, on you. And
which almost hurt us for the
it's almost hurt on our flight home. Like our flight here to Sao Paulo, we were trying to find one, and I think you got canceled on 20 times.
It was a lot.
Because I think the thing is too is they see an American name or they see and I think they're just so quick to because they just don't want to deal with the baggage of the fact that you're an international, which it sucks because I want to use Uber for that exact reason. I want to use Uber because it's international and everything you just said. I don't know the language. I don't have to try to tell you where I'm going. I don't have to have your local currency. I don't have to go through all that bullshit, right? I just have it. You have it, and you put it in Waze, you drop me off, end of story. But it's not like that. So
taxis are way more prevalent.
Taxis are way more prevalent.
But they don't take cars. You'll need the peso. And taking out money, just real quick, we were charged anywhere from I think $5 to over $10.
It was over $10 every time.
ATM
I don't think
fees.
we never got an ATM fee that was under $10.
Yeah. So if you're taking out money, take out a lot at once to minimize. The bank you use, Ally, you get reimbursed. I have USA, so I get reimbursed.
Yeah, but it's only $10 per month you get reambused for. So if it's $10 the thing, it's they kill it. So that's obviously unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you need to have the Argentinian peso on you.
And I really feel like overall cash was kind of king on.
Cash was king still, man.
Yeah, you at the nicer restaurants and nicer bars, they would still take card, and I would use it as much as possible. But taxis, maybe smaller places, even the entry to the clubs. So if the cover charge for the clubs, you couldn't use your card.
No. You almost got turned away on Saturday.
Yeah, because the person in front of me used their card, and then I literally saw them take the card machine. They have actual machines they put in the chip card. They just took it away. I don't know why.
Sorry, Jay.
So I luckily I had some friends who gave me a couple $100 pesos to pay the cover.
Yeah, the exchange rate, by the way, when we were here, as of this recording, was 20-1, effectively. So 20 Argentinian pesos is $1 $1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and so that was kind of a hassle. You just had to have a lot on you because ATMs aren't really it's kind of a backwards thing because ATMs aren't really all over the place. It's a lot of money to take out. So if you didn't have any, it's like what you were kind of just like, damn it. So I guess in that way, it is refreshing. It's definitely refreshing when you land to a place here like in Sao Paulo where Uber is king here. And there's no problems getting Uber anywhere. Kind of a Brazil in general, because Rio is the same way. Uber is just really easy to get, and it's just, it's very nice to have. You don't need to have, the Visayan Real. So that's kind of a pain because it's tough. It's more difficult to find money. It's a lot more difficult to tell them where you're going, especially if you're a traveler. So, I mean, what would you do? You would just put it in and just kind of show.
Oh yeah, so for the taxis, I mean, it wasn't really huge. It was never an issue or a huge deal. I just obviously I'm from San Diego, so I'm used to using Uber. But when I was using the taxis, I would just pull up a Google Maps of where I was going, and I would pick the cross streets, and I would say the streets, and then I would ask them if that was okay, and then I think I only talked to one guy for a couple minutes, and he seemed we have some issues, but once we got there, it was fine. I never really had any issues. I never had anyone turn me away. Again, that's where the thing where, using the technology and communicating without words.
I don't really know how people did it before.
Oh yeah, that would be tough. Yeah.
Just have to whip out a map and tell them where to go.
Yeah, but no, I really never had any issues with the taxi. So, and even though we're kind of complaining about the car and the taxis, I mean, overall, it didn't really retract from our experience.
These are just kind of things,
minor things. Just be aware of
disclaimers. Yeah, if you're going there, just be aware of these things.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff that we definitely did have to deal with, but I mean, as you saw in our glowing, overall review in the beginning, it didn't dissuade us.
No,
this place is awesome.
Yep.
Buenos Aires is awesome. So yeah, that was an issue, but those were little issues, but they're still fine. You can still be able to get around. You just got to get Argentinian pesos out. Just show them on the app where the hell you're going, but it's a big place too, so sometimes you're not quite sure. But what's good is the GPS feature on your phone. Even if you don't have a SIM card, you can still follow it via GPS, so you know kind of the route. They can't really fuck you that way.
We were using that today before we had SIM cards, so
yep,
it's a great feature.
No, it's a great feature that they allow you to do that. So that was that. We discussed Uber. What was
only other thing I'm thinking, in terms of the length of time, I don't think you can really experience Buenos Aires in less than 5 days, honestly.
And even 5 days, we were there. How long were we there?
We were 6. Yeah, it was
6
short.
days didn't feel like nearly enough.
Yeah,
I could go way longer.
Yeah,
way longer. I mean, I feel like we didn't really even get to experience. Where Mendoza, 3 days, I kind of felt like, oh, I get the gist.
Perfect.
I get the gist here. That's fine. Mendoza, it was it's like experiencing New York in 4 days. It's no, you can't. It's you can't. You just you can be there for a year and you're not really still exploring everything. Mm-hmm. That's definitely the same.
Yeah, and if you're wanting to meet some local girls, and I said it was not hard to initiate those conversations. If you're wanting to really actually have a real connection, you're going to need more than a couple days. It's not really a hookup culture per se. I mean, can it happen? Can you meet a girl and maybe take her home? I'm sure plenty of people can have done it, but and it's not. And we weren't there for any particular big party or anything like that. So it's more of if you're going to spend some time, I don't think it's that challenging. But
no.
You need to have the time there.
You need to have the time. You need to be able to create a connection with somebody, whatever it be.
Right.
Whether it be, a local friend,
right.
a local partner, local whatever. You need to have time to be able to create it because I don't think they're just going to willy-nilly do it if that's what you're looking for. So
this is more of depending on what someone's traveling there to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a different vibe than a party island in Thailand. Then
absolutely.
Exactly.
No, but it's easy to it's easy to meet locals here though.
Yeah,
which is
easy.
Which is awesome. Which is exactly what.
Even through dating apps or in person, I mean, either way, I found either way allowed you to get to the kind of same.
Yeah, dating apps are great. They're great here to meet. I mean, they're good to be able to at least.
Should be a small supplement of what you're doing.
Yeah, it should be a small supplement, but they're good to at least screen if you'll be able to communicate.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can get a little draining if you're just walking out and you're trying to ask people and they just constantly aren't speaking your language over and over and over again. But if you get a match, on a particular dating app, you can screen right away if they speak in your language or not. So yeah, absolutely. I think those work well. But yeah, so that was our time in Buenos Aires. We did a lot of seeing the city. In the vlog, I'll definitely the vlog of Buenos Aires, I'll definitely show some of the sites, and just kind of, I'll try to do my best to show like how grand it is, just so you can get kind of a gist of.
The drone will help with that.
Yeah, the drone will definitely help with that. But so nightlife, top notch, A+.
Yeah.
Really A+. Like, I was really, really surprised in how good the nightlife was there. It was really top. It's a top tier city. Like, you go there and you're like, wow, this is a proper city. Mm-hmm. This is legit. Nightlife was great. Safety, didn't have too much issues. Just be smart. Don't be an idiot.
Common sense. Yep.
Uber, just be aware. It's illegal. You got to sit in front. Hopefully that does change. So Uber, trying to fix that. Trying to go into BA and fix that. Food. Food.
If you like beef and steak
and
empanadas, I don't know if we even talked about empanadas.
Oh, we did. Yeah, the empanadas are great.
Unbelievable.
Man. They're so good. Yeah, that's top notch. And so, if you do speak Spanish, wow, it's like, I would consider, why are you not trying to live there for like a year or so? Like, take some time. Like go and check it out. I think if you do speak Spanish,
your dating life would be
your dating
unreal.
life, because it's just like, it's the Spanish New York, man. It's crazy. There's so much culture. There's so much. Oh man, it would be. You should definitely, if it's not on your list, but you are curious about it and you may be scared. What's that? Really, really try. I think I don't think I can give it enough praise. Really, we enjoyed it a lot. Mm-hmm. I want way more time there. And so I'm probably going to try to have way more time. For being honest, it wasn't one that I was expecting to have that, and leaving it, man, it really felt like that. So to sum it up, that was that. Do you have anything to add to that? Is that kind of on your?
Yeah, I think we kind of hit everything we wanted to.
Yeah, for sure. So, top notch. And also, just to recap, me and Jay are just definitely big advocates of making yourself uncomfortable sometimes, because sometimes Absolutely. I think you'll be surprised of what you can do and what you can accomplish when you're in these situations where you feel like an outsider. You don't know what the hell's going on, and you really have to be super present to figure out what to do, because you just don't know. Right. And I think you'll be surprised and proud of yourself because there's no other option. Like, there was no other option for Jay when the freaking peanuts were going down the thing. He's like, I need to get my food. I'm not just going to run out the store. You know what I mean? I need to figure this out. So I think you have to do it. And so I think you're at the end of it will be happy with yourself when you put yourself in these really uncomfortable situations. And you test yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I'll add to that is I think it's really important to what stories you're telling yourself about being uncomfortable, because it could have been very easy for me or even you to be resistant of how you have to figure it out, or it's challenging and be like, oh, they should speak English and Uber should work. You could tell maybe negative stories where I'm saying, oh, it allows you to be creative, it allows you to be a problem, and I'm focusing on what it allows you. So yes, it's important to put yourself in that uncomfortable situation, whether that's traveling to a foreign, country that doesn't really speak your language or anything else. You have to add what are you focusing on, and what is the story you're telling yourself from that? Because if you put yourself uncomfortable and then you're saying this is stupid, I don't like this is bad, then putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation really isn't going to be beneficial.
If you're going to consistently putting the blame game on people that they're not, I guess, conceding to you, instead of you being able to work in the environment that you're in, instead of like your environment actually changing for you, which is never going to happen. Right. Like the environment you're in is going to be the environment you're in, and it's going to be how you're reacting to this environment that is really going to be, decides what's going to happen, right? And telling yourself those stories in a negative connotation or a negative aspect,
it wouldn't be a positive overall experience.
Yeah, it's not going to be a positive overall experience, but putting yourself in that, I think it just broadens your horizons
Absolutely.
in a whole lot of different ways, and you challenge yourself in different ways that you never thought you would have to. You'd never have to challenge yourself that way in the United States.
No. I mean, it would be very hard to find that situation.
Yeah, to find that situation. But it's just so basic, like going to the grocery store, right? I don't know how to
take for granted.
Yeah, I don't know how to.
And that's another thing. I think if you can take maybe embarrassing moments in your life, and even though it's a silly story of my grocery store one, you take other embarrassing moments in your life, and you can maybe find some grace out of that, or like finding some compassion for someone else who was in that experience. You have some better perspective. You can be a little bit more grateful and compassionate in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Which will only be good.
Yeah,
I mean, that can
show
only
more
help.
empathy to people. I mean, and if you can get those silver linings out of those maybe hard or embarrassing or silly stories, I mean, that's whether it's through traveling or whatever you're doing. I think that's very valuable. Always trying to get those silver linings out of that.
Absolutely,
changing that perspective.
It's true, because if I see that back in the States and it's like someone really doesn't know,
I'd be like, oh, why they're taking so long? I'm busy. Get out of my way. You're an idiot. But now it's like, oh, well, I just did that.
Literally just happened to me. I've been there, man. Maybe he needs help. Maybe he needs to know what's going on. Maybe I can help him out.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do that. So, no, that's a great point, Jay. And I think, just overall, I think it's only going to help you grow. It's only going to help you grow as a person, whether that is becoming more empathetic or compassionate, or it's just, proving something to yourself that you can do that stuff, and just broadening your horizons around a little bit, or realizing you want to do something that you had no idea that you wanted to do. Right? So it's kind of like these things. It's like, man, like there's this whole, and we were talking about this earlier. It's like, this is like how I feel about like, and we said this a little bit with the 5 languages thing. It's like, there's this whole pocket of the world that has all these super cool aspects to it that you really can't, you can experience it, but you can't experience it like completely 100% fully because you don't know the language, right? So, if you did, it's like, if you did, and say maybe you did that with, 2 languages, obviously it's a ton of work, but what can you experience then because of those things? It could open a whole lot of other doors for you that you didn't even know existed because you never, attempted to even want to do that. So, and for me, that's what really excites me about like those kind of things, is that like when I left Buenos Aires, I'm like, I'm really want to go back. I really want to go back. I want to spend a long time there.
Yeah, I would go back.
And maybe even like make Spanish a priority, and go back there. It's like, I want to learn Spanish. If I live there for 3 months, maybe I can learn a good amount of Spanish and be able to speak it relatively conversationally, like when I leave.
And there's so many countries that would help you with.
And there's so many countries that would be helpful with. Yeah. It's like, if I continue to do that here in Brazil and here in, there's only, and then, do that with Spanish, there's only a small pocket of French Canada that I won't be able to speak with in the whole Western Hemisphere, which is pretty cool. So it just opens some doors of the experiences you can have. And I know from experience of, being with people that are those people, like Armando, who you haven't met yet, but he's here in Sao Paulo, which I'm excited for you to meet. He's a good friend of mine. He speaks fluent Spanish and fluent Portuguese, and it's like, he's just such an asset to have, because you're always just like, wait, Armando, what do you say? Wait, Armando, what's happening now? What's happening? And you'll be like, oh yeah, this, and oh yeah, this is happening. But he'll be the center of the party, because no matter who's speaking at him, whether it be Spanish, Portuguese, or English, he's speaking fluent to all of them. So he's not losing out on any opportunity to meet anybody that's like
right in business or
anything he can kind of create that connection from. So it's obviously really beneficial, and I think it'd be really cool to have those kind of experiences. But it's just kind of one of those things that you don't even realize that that's something that you're even lacking on until you put yourself in a situation like we did in Buenos Aires, or before in Colombia, or even here in Sao Paulo, which we'll talk about Sao Paulo on the next podcast. But we were walking around just getting the sim, and Jay's like, I didn't realize how comfortable I felt with Spanish until now I'm out here and everything's in Portuguese. He's like, at least I had some comfortable.
I could speak a little, and I felt comfortable with that. That was very different here.
Yeah.
I know. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. And people don't even say really hi that much. It depends on the time of day. Like, if it's the morning, you say bom dia. If it's the afternoon, you say boa tarde. The minute it gets dark, you say boa noite. It's like, that's that. So overall, Buenos Aires, fantastic. So I think we'll wrap it up there. Yeah, cool. So if you have any other questions on Buenos Aires, hit us up in the DMs there, or comment on the YouTube or whatever. If you have any other questions, we'll be happy to answer. Anywhere that I post this episode, just leave comments. I try to monitor everything. So next one we'll be coming at you I've been to Sao Paulo before, so this is the first time we've been somewhere that I've been that they just already have some initial thoughts, but we'll talk to we'll get into the dive in deep of Jay's kind of review of Sao Paulo, and then talk more about the differences and kind of the two major cities here down in South America.
Can't wait.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, can't wait as well. So awesome. That's gonna do it for us now. So until next time, be happy, be healthy, keep grinding. Peace out.